Tonight on CFTK-TV News, BC's North Coast MLA is going to leave her post soon. A major community event happened in Prince Rupert over the weekend, and the Prince Rupert RCMP are seeking a wanted man.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making news in the Northwest and beyond for today. With the next provincial election approaching pretty quickly, now is the time when many politicians are either declaring their intention to run again in their district or to perhaps throw their hat in the election ring for the first time. But it's also a time when others are making it clear that they won't be running again, and that is the case for one MLA in northern BC. North Coast MLA Jennifer Rice recently announced that she would not be running again in the BC provincial election later this year in October. And her reasoning for leaving the position she's held the past 11 years are related to her family.
My plan is to actually just spend more time with my young kids at home. I have an 11-month-old and a 4-year-old. And as much as I love this job, and I tell you it was a really, really difficult decision to make because I'm so passionate about this work, I also know that time flies and I just want to be home a little bit more often to see my kids and spend time with them at these young formative years.
Rice will continue to hold her position until the election, and as of right now, she does not plan on getting back into politics after she leaves, although she did not completely discount the possibility of returning to it since she continuously professed her love for her work. So much love, in fact, she had trouble choosing which things she liked the most about the job, but she eventually picked some parts out.
Well, first of all, I am a people person. I'm an extrovert, so it's a very suitable job for me and my personality. I love learning about people and their stories, and I appreciate that people have shared so much, and sometimes parts of their life that are in their lowest moments, but also in their highest. So, I've helped people that are really down and out, but yesterday I went to the Charles Hayes graduation, and I celebrated the class of 2024. And I find both of that rewarding.
Rice also recently posted a farewell letter on her Facebook page where she thanked everyone who supported her and detailed several of her experiences during her time in office as well. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. With the summer season really starting to come into its own, it means that various community events will begin popping up throughout the Northwest. And one of the most notable ones did just that very recently. Over this past weekend, Prince Rupert played host to their annual big-time community event of CFest and the various festivities that come with it. But this year's version did not only see the attendance of many of Prince Rupert's residents and presumably other people based in nearby areas, but several politicians went as well, and they all seemed to have a good time.
That's perfect. I just got a lemonade, going to get an ice cream next, and just got through taking a fencing lesson very quickly. $2.
It was awesome. It was great. It's such a nice day. Sunny day in Prince Rupert. It happens all the time, which is perfect for CFest.
CFest was amazing. We have such incredible weather right now in Prince Rupert, and I don't think I've seen a bigger crowd out for the parade. It was pretty overwhelming, pretty awesome.
The exact attendance of 2024's CFest has not been publicized as of yet, but just looking at the crowds would likely indicate that the final number is well into the hundreds. It all began on Friday afternoon with an event known as Seniors Tea, saw the signature parade take place in the middle of all the festivities, and it was ended off with what is known as the Quick and Daring Vessel Race. Next up on the docket for major events during the summer in the Northwest will include various Canada Day celebrations in July, and after that in August, Terrace will hold their annual Riverboat Days event. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. The City of Terrace is setting up a brand new program that is said to have local business owners give permission for various types of Terrace officers to get access to their properties. The purpose of giving out such access would mainly be so that those officers could remove any trespassers that happen to appear on a business owner's property. And the program would give such permission to the likes of RCMP officers, community safety officers, and bylaw officers. A program that is said to be pretty similar already exists in Vancouver, and Terrace's mayor Sean Bouitosh is said to be in favor of adding it to Terrace. The Prince Rupert RCMP are in the midst of trying to discover the whereabouts of a man that is wanted for a particular crime. The man in question goes by the name of Gerald James Michael Morrison, and the crime he is wanted for is 2 separate charges of assault. Morrison is said to be 31 years old and has been described as being of indigenous descent while also being around 6'3" in terms of his height and weighing in at close to 190 pounds while also having black hair and brown eyes. Anyone who has some information on where he might be located is asked to call the Prince Rupert RCMP at 250-624-2136, or if you wish to remain anonymous, you can call BC Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Coming up next, Vancouver's mayor is seeking more money for his office and people are asking why. Welcome back. Questions have emerged over why Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim needs more money for his office. Sim ran on a platform criticizing the previous mayor for how he handled his budget, and now if the funds are approved, Sim will have one of the highest mayoral budgets. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi has more.
Fun fact for you, what do every single president and every single prime minister have in common of Canada? They've only had one chief of staff. The mayor here had 2.
During the mayor's race, Ken Sim went hard on former Mayor Kennedy Stewart, criticizing him for how he spent his mayoral budget, criticism he's now receiving from his opponents.
So to see a 40% increase in the mayor's office budget while everyone else is holding tight is poor leadership and poor fiscal management.
Sim is asking council to divert $80,000 initially approved for the city clerk's office to his office.
And now apparently what the work that the mayor would like that $80,000 to be directed to is more political in nature, so it's not appropriate to have it in the clerk's office.
According to a city report, the funds are for a new administrative role to support the mayor. The mayor's office says it already has 8 political staff, including the chief of staff and 3 administrators.
The budget of this mayor's office has increased substantially just since he was elected, which is counter to everything he said in the campaign.
I don't think this is necessarily a good look for this mayor. When he comes to the polls in 2 years as a mayor to run again, these are the tough questions he's going to be asked. What did you do with our money?
The mayor says, quote, "This is not new money. Existing funds are simply being reallocated to where they are needed most." Former city councillor George Affleck says growing the mayor's team has to do with control.
The goal really is spin. It's about managing the messages that are coming out of the mayor's office.
Council will vote Tuesday on whether or not the mayor will get more money for his office. If approved, it will climb to over $1.5 million. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
A pedestrian was struck in Coquitlam in a scary scene that shut down the road for several hours, and residents who lived nearby said that it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. CTV's Kevin Chirac has more on the warning they gave the city and the city's response.
It's a main stretch of road with a dangerous reputation.
People just tend to race down it.
It has a curve over there. It blocked the vision of the driver. In our neighborhood, we got our young kids. They came across the street all the times.
This is the impact made after a car crashed into a pedestrian Thursday night on Mariner Way near Dolphin Street, sending the person to hospital with undisclosed injuries.
People who live in the area tell me they weren't surprised when they heard about the crash and that they've been pushing the city to make changes to this road for years.
We have been asking the city to put a sign like traffic light.
Back in 2022, residents even launched a petition asking for safety measures, including a special crosswalk, noting that people tend to jaywalk across the street to the bus stop and that it's unrealistic to expect all people to walk either up or down the hill to the nearest intersection.
I think probably a kilometer, half a kilometer up, and it's way uphill. So nobody's going to bother that. They just look for a gap in the traffic and they try to cross right here.
The city of Coquitlam told CTV News it recently worked with RCMP to increase enforcement of speed limits and installed high-friction surface treatments to help stopping during poor weather, adding, ICBC data indicates there were no reported collisions involving pedestrians on Mariner Way over the past 5 years, and the majority of collisions that do occur in this corridor are related to higher speeds and the steeper grades of the road. According to ICBC data from 2018 to 2022, there were a combined 40 crashes on Mariner Way at Dolphin Street and nearby Windward Drive. The city says it's developing a new road safety strategy, and changes along Mariner Way are being explored. Until then, those who live nearby fear another crash is inevitable.
It is just a matter of time.
Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Coquitlam.
Turning to tonight's weather, the north coast is supposed to get periods of rain and a low at 9 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area will deal with a chance of showers and their low at 8 degrees. In the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is also likely to get a chance of showers as well, plus a low of 4 degrees. On the north coast, the week for them will deal with some sun, but mainly rainy and cloudy days, and the high will bounce between 12 and 13 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, their upcoming week will consist of a fair bit of clouds and rain, but also a little sun, while the high shifts from 12 to 16 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, their next week or so should get a sunny day around several rainy days as the high moves from 11 to 16 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is utility work, bridge maintenance, construction work, roadside brushing, paving operations, a geotechnical investigation, and several special events. Highway 37 has some roadside brushing and frost heaves. 37A has road sweeping, some more road sweeping on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has both muddy sections and frost heaves still. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, the longtime host of Wheel of Fortune has retired. Welcome back. The new job numbers are out, and it looks like Canada's unemployment is up. While thousands of full-time jobs were lost, there were gains made when it comes to part-time work and the average hourly wage. CTV's Jeremy Charon breaks down the numbers.
Canada's unemployment rate continued to climb in May, although only slightly, up just 0.1 of a percentage point to 6.2%, even though the economy added 27,000 jobs.
It's good to see the labor market isn't falling off a cliff, but it's a softening.
Which is the intended impact of years of higher interest rates from the Bank of Canada. Population growth continues to outpace job gains, and even those gains, experts say, come with a caveat.
We actually lost 35,000 full-time jobs, but gained over 60,000 part-time jobs. What that means is that the involuntary part-time rate, so the proportion of people that are working part-time but really don't want to work part-time, they prefer to work full-time, has really jumped a lot.
Gains in healthcare, finance, and real estate were offset by losses in construction, transportation, and warehousing jobs. As the average hourly wage in the country grew by more than 5% year over year in May to nearly $35 an hour.
It's mostly going to non-unionized workers, the wage growth that is occurring, and mostly to management, mostly to men, mostly to management.
This snapshot from Stats Canada, an indication the Bank of Canada's efforts are working as intended, a softening labor market and economy helping drive inflation down, which helps supports predictions the Bank of Canada will keep cutting its key rate this year. Jeremy Cheryl, CTV News, Ottawa.
After testing positive for COVID-19, a nurse at Edmonton thought she'd only be homesick for a couple of weeks, but it ended up being nearly 3 years before she was ready to return to work. CTV's Nav Sangha explains how long COVID put the woman's life on hold.
In September 2021, Stephanie Kendrick was working as a nurse on a COVID unit. While taking care of sick patients, she got sick herself.
Honestly, felt like a train had just hit me.
She tested positive for COVID. After 14 days, she was meant to go back to work, but she wasn't feeling better. Her symptoms continued for months: low oxygen levels, difficulty speaking, reading, and writing, and significant fatigue. She was unable to work or do any of the activities she loved, like playing with her nieces and nephews.
Knowing that I didn't have the energy to run around with them like I used to definitely sent me into a very sad place.
Months later, she was finally diagnosed with long COVID, a concern, but also relief for Kendrick.
Knowing that it wasn't just in my head, and I wasn't just being lazy.
Respirologist Dr. Grace Lam says around 11% of patients who recover from acute COVID will have persistent symptoms for at least 3 months.
We're not really at a point where we're very clear on exactly who is more vulnerable.
She says there are no proven treatments for long COVID, so doctors prescribe medication for the specific symptom. Kendrick received medication and treatment. She was also put on home oxygen. After 2 years of symptoms, she thought she would never feel better.
I was worried that at 31, this was going to be what my life was going to be.
But her life did change. The treatment worked. With her symptoms finally manageable, she walked into work for the first time after 32 months.
Probably one of the happiest days ever.
Her fatigue is now replaced with excitement at the fact she can finally do the things she so dearly missed.
Definitely able to play with my nieces and nephews again. I'm not quite as fast as I used to be, but I definitely have the energy to run around with them.
Nav Sangha, CTV News, Edmonton.
There were high fives and hugs all around as the crew of Boeing's Starliner safely docked at the International Space Station. The Starliner's crew is made up of NASA astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore, 2 retired Navy captains, both former test pilots. ABC's Gio Benitez has more on the mission that didn't almost go as planned.
We have confirmation of contact and capture. Butch and Sonny have made their arrival.
The first Starliner crew making it to the International Space Station, but getting there was no easy task.
Hold.
After 2 launches were scrubbed, the test flight taking off, only to encounter a problem right before docking with their reaction control thrusters.
We're still assessing the other 2 jets.
The crew waving off the first docking attempt, but after some troubleshooting, finally, that hatch opening. The 2 astronauts greeted with hugs and high fives.
I'm not sure we could have gotten a better welcome.
Just want to say a big thanks to family and friends who've lived this for a long time.
Mission managers now trying to figure out what caused the Starliner's problems, the helium leaks and those complicated reaction control thrusters, which had to be jump-started a couple of times.
We just have to go take our time to work through it and figure out how we can make the system leak tight on the ground.
The crew of 2 putting the spaceship through its paces in what'll be an 8-day test mission before they return to Earth. Their return flight will end with parachutes and airbags helping Starliner land softly in the desert Southwest.
It recently came down to one last spin for Wheel of Fortune legend Pat Sajak. The game show host officially retired after 41 seasons at the wheel. CTV's Genevieve Boscheman reports on the end of an era.
Well, the time has come to say goodbye.
After more than 8,000 episodes, prompting contestants to choose a consonant or biovowel, Pat Sajak is signing off tonight. Over more than 4 decades,
Here are the expected highs.
Sajak, a former local weatherman turned game show host,
Ms. Pat Sajak, and
became a fixture of the cultural landscape. The hangman-style word puzzle show he hosted offered a family-friendly escape, but Sajak says it became more than a game.
A place where kids learn their letters, where people from other countries honed their English skills, where families came together along with friends and neighbors. Vanna!
A year after he signed on, longtime letter Turner Vanna White joined him. She offered a love letter to her departing co-host.
We've laughed, we've cried, we've celebrated. Oh gosh, what an incredible and unforgettable journey we've had. And I've enjoyed every minute of it with you.
We have $1 million winner.
Ever the guy next door, Sajak willed contestants to find the right words.
Pony, orchid.
You might have been overthinking, thinking of a type of orchid.
Pink.
Yeah.
Still, at times, the answers escape them. Here's a clue. The answer here is only child.
An ugly child?
No, Dale, it's your
What can I say? I'm a school teacher.
How does he know about the teas so fast?
Radio and TV personality Ryan Seacrest is taking over for Sajak, with White staying on.
This is Wheel of Fortune, Joe! Good night, everyone!
And so the show will go on, even if a staple of so many TV viewers' lives has signed off. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
And now we turn our attention to the stock market's pre-closure. The Canadian dollar is down 14/10 of a cent. The price of gold is down $4.90. Oil is up $1.14. Natural gas is up 13 cents. Aluminum is down $69.50. In Toronto, the TSX is up 55.42 points. Venture Index is up 0.58. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 33.43 and Nasdaq is up 32.70. Still ahead, a YouTuber's stunt may land them in prison. Welcome back. A YouTuber is facing federal charges south of the border for a wild stunt. They filmed a video that shows fireworks being shot from a helicopter at a Lamborghini, and apparently that's against the law. ABC's Eva Pilgrim has the story.
A social media influencer is under fire and under arrest after pulling an explosive stunt. Watch closely. No, that's not a scene from a Fast and Furious movie. The video, titled Destroying a Lamborghini with Fireworks, was orchestrated by 24-year-old Sukmin Choi, who goes by Alex Choi. According to the complaint filed by the Department of Justice, he directed a YouTube video in which two women in a helicopter fly near the ground and, without filming permits, repeatedly shot fireworks at a Lamborghini sports car.
The placement of explosives, in this case fireworks, on an aircraft, in this case a helicopter, is illegal.
The since deleted video was filmed in June 2023 and posted on July 4th of that year to his YouTube channel, which has over 900,000 subscribers. In the affidavit, it states Choi thanks the camera crew for being a part of my crazy, stupid ideas and made the decision to end filming when they were out of fireworks, saying, "No, that's it. We're out of fireworks, right?" He's now charged by the DOJ with one count of causing the placement of an explosive or incendiary device on an aircraft.
They're extremely serious. The particular statute where it's just putting the fireworks on the aircraft, there was a willful disregard for human life.
A federal judge dismissed a bid from two BC First Nations and salmon farm operators to review Ottawa's decision regarding renewing the licenses of 15 BC open-net salmon farms. Judge Paul Favell said the decision to not renew the licenses for farms near the Discovery Islands met consultation requirements and did not breach the rights of procedural fairness for farm operators. Ottawa has committed to developing plans to shift from open-net salmon farming in BC by 2025, but no formal plans have been released. The BC Salmon Farmers Association said BC could lose over 4,700 jobs if the licenses are not renewed. That's all of our news for now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.